Hey, what's up? It's me, Essential Teas here, back with another video reviewing the Arrowverse, week 5. So this was a good week, got some solid episodes and some teases for crisis setup. So let's get right into it with Batwoman. In this episode, we get some backstory for how Kate's sister Beth turned into Gotham's supervillain Alice. And they introduce us to the character of Mouse, who's supposed to have a bigger role now. He's going to be her accomplice. And when you're watching the flashbacks, I did not expect that Kate and her dad were right there in the house. They knew that she had called for help, but they didn't find her. I was sitting there watching as Kate was walking down the stairs and standing at the door, just hoping that they're going to find her, even though you know it's a flashback and they don't find her. It was a really unfortunate situation. But yeah, I was happy to have some sisterly bonding and backstory explaining. Although on Kate's part, it was kind of a dumb decision to go wherever Alice wanted and then get drugged and kidnapped. But in the end, it's okay because her dad also figured it out. And now he's fully 100% accepted that Alice is Beth. And so that's going to be an interesting dynamic. Is that going to change him to be not as hell-bent on getting rid of her? Will he be more lenient? I don't know. But of course, in the end of the episode, Alice and Mouse were allowed to get away in exchange for Kate and her dad and Sophie getting away. So kind of back at square one. And now after the Arkham breakout, which would have been presumably the Elseworlds crossover, that would have been the Arkham breakout they're talking about. After that, now Mouse is free, so Alice has an accomplice and things are probably only going to get more dangerous from here. Also in this episode, we had Kate's stepmom, Catherine, telling her daughter Mary that she faked the DNA results for the deer bones found on the farm and said they were skull fragments from Beth. And so Mary was not too happy to hear that. She is very much against her mom and on Kate's side. But Kate's nowhere to be found, so she ends up antagonizing Luke. And so they just kind of spend some time together in Wayne Tower. I don't think Mary has figured out why, like what they're up to there. I don't think she's on to them. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the next episode. And yeah. Next up was Supergirl, and this was I don't know. It was what happened in this episode? Kara takes William to the DEO and to interrogate the one person who was going after Elena Torres. And he kind of loses it, and then we learn that his best friend was killed by this other person with 2 robotic arms. And at least for me, it seemed pretty obvious that they were probably the same person. His friend became that person. So that was unfortunate that William didn't see that coming, and this whole time he thought his friend was dead. But at the end of the episode, they do confirm that. The DEO managed to test his DNA, check his DNA once they captured him. But before they could capture him, he shot one of Lex Luthor's marathon lasers into the Antarctic Circle and started this big flood, which somehow Dreamer stopped. I'm not really sure how her powers worked for her to be able to stop a tidal wave. Also kind of concerned about what happened for the rest of the Pacific coast, because they said it was going to hit everywhere, and she's one person at one spot. But I guess we're not going to question it and just assume everyone's safe. Also, Andrea's contact lenses. Like, obviously there's supposed to be this great technological invention, and they do seem pretty cool. But why would you just be standing in the middle of a sidewalk or on a pier and put them in, and then you're totally lost and you don't even know that there's a tidal wave coming that could kill you? That seems kind of strange. And even James's sister, I've forgotten her name, Kelly. Even Kelly, like, she's going to sit on the pier to a restaurant, like she's there for her and Alex's date-anniversary lunch or dinner or whatever, but she's not ordering food. She's just sitting there with her contact lenses. So it's very weird. But Lena is making progress on her experiments now that she has Jean's brother captured. She did some tests, and seems like she's been successful. She now has the power to incept thoughts into other people. She even was able to incept Malefic. She could use his own power against him now. So that is not looking good. We get just a bit more in-depth exploration of this Leviathan organization, how they're kind of everywhere. William's been trying to stop them. Andrea's somehow involved with them. And yet, at the same time, she herself was not involved with this plot. Because we see at the end of the episode when she gets into the limo and the Leviathan lady is sitting there, she was shocked. She's like, it was you who did the flood. So she clearly knows about them, but she's not a part of them. So that makes me kind of intrigued. Is William on a wild goose chase because she is not actually involved, and he's going to end up uncovering someone else's evil plot and find out that Andre is innocent? I don't know. But yeah, I think that pretty much covers this episode. Let's move along. And to The Flash. I think this is a really good episode. You know, you've made a show with a strong supporting cast that the audience cares about when you can have an episode without the main two characters. Barry and Iris, for the majority of the episode, were off on vacation. And it was still a good episode. I really liked it. We get this kind of murder mystery wrapped in a riddle of Cisco, because we find out that Gypsy from Earth 19 is dead. Her dad comes and tells him. And so, on the one hand, he's looking into who killed her, but on the other hand, he's battling with his own stuff, because apparently he just found out he's been sleepwalking, and Breacher tells him about breach psychosis, when you try to suppress your powers. And then, sure enough, they find out that it was Cisco who killed her, and that's it, he's guilty. But everyone seemed to forget that the multiverse exists, and there are how many other Ciscos out there. And sure enough, Cisco was able to get away from the Breacher Agency just long enough to prove his innocence, to find the other dimensional Cisco trying to breach back to his Earth, because obviously that Cisco doesn't have the vibe powers. He's just a hacker who obviously built the tech to breach. Thankfully it had a warm-up time, so he couldn't get away immediately. Also in this episode, there's a little bit of Caitlin Killer Frost going after Bloodwork, after Ramsey Rosso. And there wasn't a ton of that, but just enough to remind us that he is the main villain. And at the end, we actually see Caitlin come back in charge of her body and talk to Ramsey and try to talk him out of it. But he's not going for it. Thankfully, he doesn't kill her right there, though, because they were friends and he doesn't want to have to do that yet. But he's definitely not giving up his evil intentions. And then, of course, we learn that Joe was following Nash Wells. And so he goes down into the tunnel, they get in a little scuffle, and they get trapped behind a wall of debris. And instantly Nash is like, okay, I got this, I'm going to get us out of here. But then ends up instead starting a mini fire and using up 87% of their oxygen. So then they have less than an hour to breathe. Which wasn't smart on his part, but obviously this Earth 1's vibrational frequency was different, not in sync for his weapon. I don't know. But we didn't get as much information out of him as I would have liked, considering they were stuck there for like 40 minutes with nothing else to do. But we did just get a hint that when Joe mentions the monitor and how Barry's supposed to die, we get Nash looking shocked, and he says, "You've seen Marno Vu." So he is now starting to know that these people, Team Flash, are involved in the Monitor's plans, and hopefully he'll start giving us some answers as to what he knows, because at the end of the episode he says, "Well, meet me in the sewer tunnels tomorrow morning, because I know how to save Barry Allen." So maybe he doesn't really, but he clearly knows something that we don't about the Monitor. And that's my biggest issue with this show and Arrow. Like, this crisis is coming. Everyone met the Monitor last year. So why are you not telling people that you've seen him? The Monitor shows up and tells Barry he's gonna die, and that the crisis is coming right now, like December. And he ends up telling Team Flash eventually, fine. But go talk to Oliver, because Oliver is actually disappeared and he's going on all these missions for the Monitor. And then Lila, who's also on Team Arrow, she is also working for the Monitor, but isn't telling Oliver that. And now, well, this is all Arrow spoilers, but the point is, everyone is talking to the Monitor, but they're not talking with each other. They're not sharing their details, so they could probably put together the puzzle of what's going on if they would share their information. But they haven't yet, so that's a little frustrating. But yeah, thankfully Ralph was able to track down Joe and rescue them, and everyone is safe and sound, except for Gypsy, unfortunately. I was expecting at the end, when Breacher went to go back to Earth 19, that he wasn't going to be able to breach there, because maybe Earth 19 was destroyed while he was gone. But that wasn't the case. He left. So, Earth 19 lives another day. And then finally, Arrow. This was a really good episode. It picks up right after the last episode ended, where Oliver and John have been teleported to the bunker, and Mia, William, and Connor have been teleported to the bunker and brought back in time. So that was some really interesting dynamics, because they all have various stuff. Well, I mean, they've lived 20 years of life without that these people don't even know about, and there's some complicated relationships. Obviously, Connor shows up and tells John, "Hey, your son is actually evil, but you adopted me and I'm a good son." But John doesn't want to hear that. That's not what he wants to hear. Renee finds out that Zoe's just been killed in the future, so he's obviously not too happy. And meanwhile, Oliver is actually trying to be supportive for them. He wants to know that they have a good future with him dying. Meanwhile, Mia just pushes him away. The only people who seemed to have a good relationship were Oliver and William. They were like instantly connected. But I guess that's because, like, in the present timeline, William is old enough like to know Oliver, to know his dad, and Mia never gets that. Yeah, so we find out the Deathstrokes are there. At first they think JJ has come back with them. Then we find out this is kind of where their future begins. Grant Wilson is creating a Deathstroke gang in 2019, and they have to stop him. So they do stop him together. They don't kill him, but they say they're going to monitor him very carefully. And they're all hoping to just try and change this post-apocalyptic future for their kids. But I don't know if that would be good for the kids. Are they going to just all of a sudden disappear from existence because the timeline has been changed? Or are they going to be like Reverse Flash and just somehow the timeline changes, never catch up, and they're allowed to keep living? I was also surprised how no one seems in a hurry to try and get them home. Like, obviously, we're expecting this is going to be set up for the Green Arrow and the Canaries show with Mia. Because it'd be better if it was in present day. That way it could interact with the other shows. But in universe, it doesn't really make sense why no one's trying to get them home. Especially since Oliver knows Barry does a lot of time traveling. So he could easily take them back to the future. Yeah, so we get them having some nice interactions. Eventually they all kind of get along. And then we see at the end, the Monitor shows up to Laurel now. And he's telling her that he can bring back Earth 2, which is obviously a big deal. Like, does he really have the power to restore an Earth? The only catch is that she has to betray Oliver. So this is where I'm getting annoyed, because no one's communicating that they've met the Monitor. And she's trusting the Monitor by betraying Oliver. Meanwhile, Oliver thinks that the Monitor is the evil one, which I do think he's mistaken. He's thinking about the Anti-Monitor. But still, I don't know how many people should be putting their trust in to the Monitor. Like, they're all just chess pieces in his game. And I'm still not sure what his game is. He says he's trying to protect the universe, the multiverse. He's obviously not the Anti-Monitor. Except, some people I actually saw were saying, what if that was the Anti-Monitor in disguise? But I also don't know what the point of disguising is, because Laurel has clearly never met the Monitor, so you probably don't need to disguise yourself. But anyways, that's more for the audience. Yeah, so there's good crisis setup, and I'm just looking forward to new episodes. There's no Flash and Arrow next week, unfortunately. I'm pretty sure there's still Supergirl and Batwoman, though. Also, I'm thinking I'm going to change the way I do my reviews. I might do a review on Monday and a review on Wednesday. Supergirl and Batwoman in one, Flash and Arrow in the other. Because, as you might notice, by the time Wednesday comes around and I'm ready to record a review for all of them, I've kind of forgotten some of the details from Batwoman and Supergirl. So, if I can find the time on Mondays to record and upload, I think that is going to be what I do. Especially next week when there is no Flash and Arrow. It's going to have to just be Supergirl and Batwoman. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did like it, if you could leave a like and subscribe, it'd be appreciated. And yeah, see you guys later. Peace out. Bye.